Sodom stood like a jewel in the desert, blazing with energy, its avenues alive with merchants, music, and the restless murmur of countless tongues. Crowds surged through its gates with eyes sharpened by desire, their hearts beating without restraint, unburdened by reverence or fear. Every street corner promised abundance, glittering banquets, crooked bargains, laughter without shame, and feasts that stretched deep into the night. To the passer-by, it looked like prosperity in its purest form. Yet behind the polished stones and loud celebrations, a deeper sickness grew, hidden but unrelenting. The people's eyes saw plenty, but their spirits were blind. Their altars were dust, their prayers silenced. Windows opened wide to the horizon, but the heavens above them seemed locked and sealed. Pride ruled their souls. "What God?" they whispered with arrogance. "If he exists, let him dare to stop us." Far away in the burning solitude of the wilderness, a man named Abraham dwelled among his tents. He was old yet strong in faith, a wanderer who lived by promises rather than cities. One day 3 travelers approached him, not mere men but messengers from eternity. 2 were angels, the third bore the presence of the Eternal himself. Their errand was grave. The name of Sodom was spoken among the first to face the weight of judgment. Abraham, sensitive to heaven's voice, discerned what it meant. Catastrophe was nearing. Dawn would not rise kindly upon the city. In anguish, he pleaded for mercy, but the decree had been spoken. The end was set. Meanwhile, Sodom danced on. Music swelled, bodies twirled, wine poured, and no one paused to consider the coming storm. Their laughter hid their doom. The very ground beneath them was ready to break. The sky above was poised to answer. When fire began to descend, there would be no shield, no wall, no song loud enough to drown the wrath. Palaces, marketplaces, children, animals, all would be swallowed by flame. For when heaven shuts its gates of mercy, the earth itself opens to devour. Abraham remained apart, tending his altars, raising prayers, walking deserts with eyes fixed on heaven. His blessings stretched beyond himself, touching even Lot, his nephew, who grew wealthy beside him. Yet prosperity brought strife. Their shepherds quarreled, their land too small for such increase. Abraham, humble and wise, sought peace. He offered Lot the choice of land. "If you take the left, I will take the right. If you take the right, I will take the left." Lot lifted his eyes and was captured by the green valley of the Jordan, fertile and inviting. At its heart shone Sodom, dazzling with promise. He chose quickly without seeking the Lord, deceived by appearances. What began as camping near the city turned into full participation in its life, until Lot himself sat as a judge at its gates. Abraham, however, remained faithful, unmoved by glitter. He welcomed the 3 heavenly guests under the shade of his tent, served them bread and meat, bowing in reverence. He sensed their presence carried eternity's weight. When they rose, 2 turned toward Sodom, but the third, the Lord, stayed and spoke. "Shall I conceal from Abraham what I am about to do? The cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, their sin grievous. I will go down and see for myself." It was not divine uncertainty, but a declaration of perfect justice. Abraham listened, heart heavy, aware that the city's measure of evil was complete and time was over. But Sodom did not collapse in a single instant. It had been bending for years. Step by step, the people traded conscience for indulgence. Sacred places became shrines to idols. Children were sacrificed to foreign gods, their blood staining the altars. Judges twisted verdicts for gold and pleasure. The poor were crushed, the widow stripped of her dignity, the orphan sold like cattle. In the streets, men paraded their corruption openly, boasting of their lust as if it were honor. Women defied heaven, offering their bodies as mockery of sacred order. Power was measured by how much one could take, humiliate, or dominate. Outsiders were first enticed, then broken, their voices silenced forever. A handful prayed in secret, but their cries were drowned by the roar of the city's excess. Then, on a night without stars, 2 angels entered Sodom's gates. No one recognized them. No one honored them. No one except Lot. Despite years of compromise, something within him still recognized holiness. He bowed, begged them to take refuge in his home. At first they refused, but Lot pressed urgently, knowing too well the horrors of Sodom after dark. At last they entered. Bread was broken, rest prepared. But the city stirred like a beast awakened. Word spread. 2 strangers had arrived. A mob gathered, men young and old. Their demand clear: bring them out so we may know them. Lot stepped outside, desperate. His words exposed the compromise in his soul. I have 2 daughters, untouched. Take them, but do no harm to these men. Twisted by the city's poison, he offered what should never be offered. But the mob raged louder, surging toward the door. In that moment, the angels revealed themselves. They pulled Lot inside, struck the crowd blind, their eyes clouded just as their spirits had long been blinded. Then they spoke plainly: this city will be destroyed. Gather your family, leave at once. The Lord has sent us to end it. Lot hesitated. Even with destruction announced, his heart clung to possessions, to memory, to comfort. The angels seized him, his wife, his daughters, dragging them out by mercy alone. Run for your lives, do not look back. Yet Lot faltered again, pleading for a nearer refuge. The angels granted Zoar as his shelter, but only until he arrived could judgment begin. And as Lot crossed its border, the sky cracked open. Fire rained, not earthly, but divine. Sulfur and flame tearing down the plain. Palaces collapsed. Screams vanished. The fertile valley became a furnace. Lot's wife looked back. Not her eyes alone, but her heart turned, longing for the city she had left. In that instant she froze, a pillar of salt, her soul bound forever to the ashes she could not release. Lot survived, but broken. In Zoar he trembled, and soon fled again, hiding in a cave with his daughters. No altar was raised, no prayer recorded. Fear and compromise remained. In that cave sin bred again. His daughters, desperate or deceiving themselves, intoxicated their father and bore children by him. Moab and Ammon were born, future enemies, lasting reminders of choices without faith. Lot had escaped the flames, but Sodom lived in him still, and Sodom's ashes speak even now. They testify not only of judgment, but of mercy, of a God patient, yet just, who delivers those who will listen, even if by force of grace. The story warns every generation that cities rise and fall, but heaven always hears the cries of the oppressed, the blood of the innocent, the arrogance of the proud. This is not simply the tale of a city's ruin, it is a mirror. It asks whether we too walk the streets of Sodom in our time, where sin is celebrated, justice mocked, and holiness despised. The day will come when the heavens open again, not with sulfur, but with the return of the King, whose eyes are fire and whose hands hold justice. Blessed are those who hear the warning, who turn now, who live with altars burning as Abraham did. Until then, let this story not just be remembered, let it awaken, for the cry of the earth still rises, and the God of heaven still answers.